Alright, so our presentation is the Pacific Islander students. This video presentation will provide insight into the needs of Pacific Islander students. You will gain a deeper understanding of the strengths and challenges these students being in the classroom. The term Pacific Islanders refers to Polynesians, Melanesians and Micronesians, the indigenous people of Oceania, which includes a large number of island nations. Majority groups of Pacific Islanders in the United States are Native Hawaiians, Samoans, Tongans, Chamorro or Guamanians, people of Guam and the Marianas Islands, Fijians, and Marshallese. 87.4% of Pacific Islanders in the United States have earned high school diplomas, 20.7% have bachelor degrees, and 6% hold graduate degrees. Pacific Islanders are often grouped with other Asian populations and fall victim to the model minority stereotype. They are destined to be athletes, often excluded from minority-centered programs, and because they are paired with the Asian Americans, they don't get as many scholarships or the resources aren't presented to them because of the pair that they are with, and they should know what to do. What is an achievement gap? The achievement gap refers to the difference in academic performance and success between different groups of students. How is it measured? The achievement gap is measured through standardized testing, grades, and dropout rates. The Pacific Islander students are part of a group known as AAPI, which just means Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. According to a study called Asian American and Pacific Islander Students, Equity and the Achievement Gap, often the needs of AAPI students are overlooked. Many educators view these students through the model minority myth lens. They believe that because these students are from the AAPI group, that they are very good at certain subjects and they don't need a lot of help. The study conducted tests between AAPI students and their white peers. The majority race in their school was white, while the minority groups were APPI students, African American students, and others. Pacific Islander students in general had a score of approximately 17 points lower than their white peers in reading and about 14 points lower in math. This means that the students are not being given the help that they need in order to be as successful as their white peers. Educators need to assess the level of help that each student needs in order to help them be successful in the classroom.
So this is a video called Forgotten and Undeserved, Pacific Islanders Fight for Academic Success. It focuses on Pacific Islanders in the Long Beach area of California, but it really does share some insightful cultural challenges that they face while being in school. That is kind of universal, and yeah, good insight. So we also looked at lack of resources for Asian American and Pacific Islander students. Here in Washington County, we went over the different websites of the high schools here, and I highlighted Desert Hills, Snow Canyon, Pine View, and Dixie High. And going through these websites, there was no clubs focused on AAPI students. The faculty, none of them are really of Pacific Islander descent. Only one was found that was. And then there's also no specific content area of resources for any particular minorities other than like special ed or English language learners. So not a whole lot focused on helping these students achieve better in the schools. So programs available outside of schools for the students, we found because they're most likely to be minority groups within their schools. They are in need of minority programs that can help them achieve their goals in schools and provide academic support. Um, the Asian American and Native American Pacific Islander Serving Institutions is a great program that helps students by mentoring them in different areas as language, graduation, and information retention. But a lot of schools are in need of incorporating programs like this into the school itself to help their students, because a lot of these students are going to go out and find information for themselves. Ideas for educators to bring resources into the classroom. First, they can build trust by participating in community events. Um, a lot of Pacific Islanders are very family oriented and involved in their communities. So as educators, if we go out there and participate in these particular events, it shows that we care and that we're interested in their culture. Another good way to provide resources is to use what you've got. Ask the parents to provide entertainment and expertise if you have Pacific Islander themed activities, but just be aware that they are very generous and um, willing to help, but also at their own expense. So just be mindful of not over asking their involvement. Also look out into the community and find organizations that operate under the AAPI umbrella, and see if they would be willing to participate in the classroom as well. There's also National Park Services that offer Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage education resources, and then in May really highlight their culture and background. That is the Pacific Islander and Asian Heritage Month. So role models for AAPI students, very few are representative in teaching and educator roles and administration roles. Um, so only 1.5% are teachers and 0.5% are principals. Um, so this definitely limits the ability of schools to understand work within the communities they serve. It's important for kids to see themselves in the adults who are in the schools, and this is a quote from Robert Teranishi, a professor at UCLA. They're underrepresented in many leadership and teaching roles and in the community itself. So if you find businesses or Pacific Islanders that fulfill these particular roles out there, it is great to bring them into the classroom and have them be mentors to your students and show them what they can achieve. So some keys for inclusion, these were found off the National PTA website, but there's understanding the need for inclusion, participate in community events, be responsive and sensitive to students and parents' circumstances, help them navigate education processes, celebrate their culture, encourage parent involvement, and seek out support and resources for your students. So some of the suggestions on this were my own writing. Or we've kind of already gone over as far as that they live in close-knit communities, um, and that as educators, you can develop trust by participating in their community events. Be aware of their potential lack of places to study or do homework at home, because according to the U.S. Census Bureau, 19% of Pacific Islanders live at or below the federal poverty level, and often multiple families reside together. So they may not have the ability or areas to study. A lot of them are also, as kids or their parents are working multiple jobs, and the students will most likely have to help in their family by taking care of their younger siblings, cooking, cleaning, that kind of things as well. So you want to be sensitive to parents' circumstances. There are Pacific Islanders often lived in villages where they were expected to share their possessions with others. So when parents are asked to share food and time with schools, they may do so at a great personal expense. Um, so be mindful of your students' background and just their home life when you're asking them to do certain things. Also, a lot of the parents may feel uncomfortable communicating with educators. Um, may be reluctant to participate in school activities due to lack of understanding on how to engage in the process or lack of time due to work commitments. So you need to be there for them and help them navigate like scholarships and stuff like that for schools and going through just the processes of education and things that are required of them. Also encourage students to participate in different programs at school. So a lot of Pacific Islanders appreciate music, dance, and cultural festivals. So art programs are a very great place to um, suggest for them to join and get more out of school. Um, Also athletics. Just be mindful not to stereotype them as all being athletic. And then, as we discussed in the previous slide, to seek out other resources and support for the students in the classroom.